Hello, welcome to the Set AP podcast, the cricket show. I'm Matt Donovan. I'm going to be talking about cricket, what's happened recently, the news, what's going on around the world. Today I decided, obviously you've got the India-England Test series going on at the moment. I'm going to cover that in a bit more detail once it's finished. I decided I'd take the time to go through some of the big international teams. The one I'm going to do today is India. Because they're the biggest team in the world. Their form's incredible of late, and they're looking as though they're going to head to the Test Championship final. Whatever team you'd like me to look at next, please leave in the comments below. So yeah, let's go on to it. The first thing I wanted to look at is India's recent form. Since 2019, they've played 5 Test series against South Africa, Bangladesh, New Zealand, Australia, and now England at the moment. They have won 3, lost 1, and are 2-1 up at the moment. They lost to New Zealand 2-0, and then they beat South Africa, Bangladesh, and Australia. This was extremely promising for them because obviously not all of them were at home. Even though Bangladesh is also in the subcontinent, it's not their home grounds that they're used to. Australia is obviously very different. It's extremely quick. You need to rely a lot more on seam and pace bowling to be successful out there. And New Zealand, well, unfortunately, they lost to New Zealand, but New Zealand, they've been the number 1 ranked Test team in the world, and that's why they cemented their spot in the Test Championship final. They were the first team to do it. The reason why I think India has been so successful is through their just incredible squad. They've been brilliant. So I'm going to go through, for those who don't know, I'll go through the squad, go through the main batsmen and bowlers, just to sort of give a bigger overview. Batting for India, you have their openers. You have Mayank Agarwal, who has averaged 45 in Test matches up to this date. He's unfortunately got a hand injury that he picked up whilst training out in Australia, so he hasn't played against England so far. You've got Rohit Sharma, who was renowned for his white ball ability, obviously brilliant in the World Cup. I saw him personally get 100 against Sri Lanka at the ground at Headingley. Then you've got, who's replaced Mayank Agarwal, Shubman Gill, who's a very young batsman who's come in, is averaging around 34, and has looked very, very good. He's looked the weakest of the batsmen, but he's very, very young, to understand, but doesn't really matter too much. He's looking to be a solid player that, once someone retires, can fill in that gap perfectly. Number 3, you have Cheteshwar Pujara. Once again, I apologise in advance if I pronounce anything wrong. I'm English, I'm not Indian, I do not know how to pronounce it. Once again, please let me know what I'm doing wrong, just so I don't make mistakes in the future. Pujara has been the number 3 for India for a long, long time. He's been the rock there. He plays very similar to Rahul Dravid, who you might know. He's very famous for being, he's been called the Wall because he batted for a long, long time. He just sees out balls, sees out overs, rotates the strike, doesn't do anything too magnificent, doesn't hit big shots. He just stays in, gets runs, which is exactly what you want from a number 3. Moving on to number 4. The most important player in this India team is Virat Kohli, the captain, the most famous cricketer alive. He's recently just hit 100 million followers on Instagram, 4th ever sports person to do so. So well done to him. I thought for Virat Kohli, because he's obviously such a important player in this Indian team, the most important player, I'd look a little bit more into his stats. So he has averaged 52 over his whole career, which is incredible. There's only 2 current players to average more than 50, him and Steve Smith. So I thought I'd have a look to see, has he ever sort of had a significant dip in form from 2008 when he started his Test career to 2021, which is now? And the real answer is no. This man has been absolutely world class ever since he stepped on the pitch. 2008, he averaged 38. His lowest ever yearly average was in 2015, where he averaged 36, which is still brilliant for most players. So his worst is the best for a lot of people. His best ever average was in 2018, where he averaged 133, which is ridiculous. You know, how someone in a year can average hitting 133 runs. It's incredible. So well done to him. Once again, sort of going through, I've got the stats in front of me here. He's consistently over some years averaged 68 in 2012, 92 2016. So his form, it's a bit sort of up and down. However, it's never low. It's always very good or beyond belief incredible. So that's why he's obviously the most important, crucial role to India, and why they're so successful. Furthermore, about Kohli, he's obviously the captain. He's got a very aggressive style, which you can see throughout this England Test series. That he's constantly, when times are tough, he's put England under pressure, surrounded the bat. Obviously, you know, for those who don't follow cricket much, when you've got your spinners bowling on a bouncy wicket which turns a lot, the chances of them getting a small little clip on the bat and edging it is very high. So what Virat does, which Joe Root hasn't been doing so much, which you argue he should be, is getting lots of players close to the batsman for catching opportunities, which has seemed to work. We saw Ollie Pope get out to a very unfortunate dismissal at short leg, coming off his pad. Ben Folkes calling the slips in day one of this test. So yeah, it's small stuff like that, a very aggressive start, which is helping lead India to success. Moving on to number 5, you have Ajinki Rouhani. Once again, I apologise for pronunciations if that's wrong. He's, once again, like Pujara, been in this team for a long, long time. He's averaged 41 in his career, which is once again incredible. And he sort of cemented himself in as a player that can do anything. If you need him to score runs at a decent pace, he can do so. And if you need him to be more conservative and just look for gaps and rotate the strike, he's brilliant at doing that as well. And then the last sort of batsman I'm going to mention, in my opinion, is incredibly overrated. And I think that India should find some replacements for him, because they're obviously a huge country. They are more than capable of finding someone better. It's Rishabh Pant. He's averaged 46 with the bat, which is brilliant. He's obviously scored lots of good runs. However, his batting style is incredibly immature. He doesn't play cricket as though he cares. He plays as though he's doing it for fun, which, you know, makes sense. You obviously need to do a job that you love. However, when you get into scenarios where you're chasing runs like the first test, and for you to come out and, you know, he'd set himself in, he'd got himself in, and just start whacking the ball all over the shop and getting caught out doing so, it's quite an immature thing to do, which you wouldn't expect from an international level player. So personally, I'd think that that's a significant reason why he shouldn't be in a team. Even worse, though, is he's the wicketkeeper for the Indian side. But to be perfectly honest, he's not a good wicketkeeper. You know, he drops catches all the time. The amount of sort of extras that are going past him, the byes, leg byes, is, you know, just too much for an international stand-up wicketkeeper, especially when you have over 1 billion people in your country. You're the one chosen to represent it, and you're, if not the quality you should be. So I personally think that he should be a white ball batsman, and that's it. You know, so he can express himself a bit more, but do nothing too much. Moving on to the bowlers, another thing that's making India such a incredible team is their bowling. Out in Australia, they obviously have their quicks that are dominating. Jasprit Bumrah is averaging about sort of 22 at the moment, which is brilliant. You know, just so everyone knows, average means that for every wicket you take, you go for that many runs. So Bumrah, for every wicket he takes, he goes for about 22 runs, which is, you know, exactly what you want. You want someone like him to go in, get wickets for not too many runs. Obviously, runs don't really matter too much if you're getting lots of wickets, which is why spinners tend to have higher averages. But as you see with someone like Ravichandran Ashwin, once again, apologies if my pronunciations are off, he's only averaging 25, which is incredible for someone that's supposed to be getting hit lots more bad balls that batsmen are able to hit 4s and 6s off. He's not doing that. He's a very consistent bowler, manages to pitch the ball line length perfect all the time, gets loads of spin, got brilliant doosra as well, which for those that don't know, that basically is a ball that spins the other way. So he's an off spinner. So he traditionally pitches the ball and it spins from off stump to leg stump. The doosra spins the other way. So it obviously for batsmen, it's a lot more difficult knowing that the bowler can have it turn both ways. So that sort of keeps a bit of paranoia in the back of your mind. Moving on, we've got Ishant Sharma, who's averaging a little bit more. He's averaging 32, which once again isn't too bad. He's got 303 wickets in his career, which is fantastic. He's a very experienced bowler. He's got a magnificent in-swinging delivery. So his ability to get our left-handed batsmen like Ashwin is incredible. Ashwin is actually, he averages about 15 to left-handers, which is one of the best in the world. Another thing with Ishant Sharma as to why his average in comparison to someone like Jasprit Bumrah isn't too bad, even though it's 10 more, is his career, it's been a lot longer than Bumrah. So you can tell that considering he's got 220 more wickets, which it just means it's more excusable. When you bowl seam, you're going to get balls that get nicked and go through gaps. You're going to get nice shots, batsmen playing well. So unfortunately it's a bit high, but it doesn't really matter because he does obviously get wickets as he has done. Moving on to the last bowler I'd like to talk about, Axa Patel, who's been brought in. He made his debut in the first test against England. He's got 22 wickets in this series, which is, brilliant for a series, but it's only been it's been 3 games so far. And he's got 22, which is, an incredible series, and he's definitely getting man of the series. He's only averaging 10.8, which, if we're talking, as we were talking earlier, if you're getting a wicket and conceding 10 runs from it, that's top class. You don't get much better than that, especially against England, who have brilliant players of spin, such as Joe Root. You can't ask much more of the captain. So that pretty much sort of sums up my analysis of India's players. Hopefully that's quite helpful for those that don't know too much about their team. The one thing I wanted to talk about is obviously India are looking to win this test series. They've been in the news recently because lots of people, especially England fans, because they're on the losing side, but a lot of neutral fans as well, they think there's been a little bit of cheating going on. Personally, I'm not too sure. There's no evidence to prove it, so obviously you can't say whether they have or haven't done it yet. But it's small stuff, such as in the first 2 tests, the umpiring was awful. Even people from both parties supporting either India or England can admit that. The umpires have been dreadful. They've been giving everything out when they really shouldn't be. And a lot of people think that's, intentionally done because India refused to bring out international registered umpires such as Maria Erasmus to umpire for this series because they said that they couldn't do it and they couldn't put them into the biosecure, COVID-friendly environments, which a lot of people think is, not right considering they could fly out a whole England team too. But, hey, you can't change it. So you've got to sort of carry on with what's going. The second thing is the pitches, especially in that second test. It only ended in 2 days. For those who don't know, Test cricket is 5 days long. It's meant to be 5 days long. That's why they have 2 innings per side, which means you have to get everyone out twice. So for a test match to end in 2 days, it's really poor. It shows length for how sort of poor that pitch was. And the reason why people are mostly annoyed is because if a smaller country such as Sri Lanka or the West Indies were to field a pitch like that, they'd be fined heavily. And because India is such a prominent country in cricket, they are the reason why it's the second most watched sport in the world. They didn't get fined at all. So people are a little bit frustrated about that, but it's not really too serious. Now, the last thing I wanted to talk about, the reason why this title, the title of this video is, Are India in Trouble, is the final of the Test Championship. The Test Championship is something that's been brought in recently to sort of help bring a more competitive edge to Test cricket. So New Zealand have obviously got into the final because they've won all of their games, I think. And they just need the second team, and it's going to either be Australia, England, or India. England are very unlikely. Well, they can't win it anymore because India have won 2 games. India need to win this next one, and they've got their place to the final. And if England win the test and it's a draw in total, then Australia will go through. Now, the chances look like, especially with the first day total that England got, only 205, it definitely looks as it definitely looks that India are going to win this test and therefore go through to the final of the Test Championship. But the reason why I think they're in trouble is because they're not going to be able to compete with the likes of New Zealand. They've looked absolutely phenomenal. And Kane Williamson's been the best batsman in the world by a long way. And Neil Wagner's been a brilliant bowler as well, number 2 in the Test rankings, left arm seamer. He's been taking wickets for fun. So it's stuff like that which causes a bit of concern for me. And especially when you have your players such as Virat Kohli, he's having a little bit of a slump in this test. I'm not saying that to criticise him. I'm just saying that if you look at his career, as we spoke about earlier, he's not having a good series. I'm saying that with all due respect. He's a brilliant batsman, but as a result, he's fallen down to 5th in the Test rankings. Even Joe Root's ahead of him, who's having some brilliant form at the moment. And so, yeah, that's my sort of quick video. Well, I'm not sure how quick it is, but my sort of light-hearted, more relaxed video, just sort of explaining India as a team and why I think they're in a bit of trouble going into the Test Championship final, but overall look like an incredible team that are really going to cause lots of problems in the future for anyone else because they are devastating throughout the whole, from their batsmen to their bowlers and even their all-rounders. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all of that stuff, because it would be really, really helpful, especially considering we are such a small channel. But with that, thank you very much for listening to The Cricket Show on the Set 8P podcast. Thank you very much and enjoy your day.